Have you ever felt a nagging sense that life isn't quite what it seems? That everything around you, the struggles, the triumphs, the mundane routines, might be part of something much larger, something intentionally designed, yet deceptively ordinary? What if I told you that this design is a simulation, not the type created by technology, but one born from consciousness itself? And what if the power to break free lies entirely within you? For centuries, mystics, philosophers, and spiritual teachers have whispered the same truth. Reality, as we know it, is not fixed. It's a fluid tapestry, shaped by our thoughts, beliefs, and awareness. Neville Goddard, a pioneer in metaphysical teachings, went a step further. He boldly claimed that the world we perceive is nothing more than a projection of our imagination, a simulation we unwittingly create and remain trapped within due to our limited understanding. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you thought was real is merely a reflection of your inner state. The people, the circumstances, the opportunities, they're all responding to the stories you tell yourself. But here's the twist. You don't have to stay stuck. Neville Goddard left behind a roadmap for escaping this illusion, a way to transcend the simulation and step into your limitless potential. In today's video, we're diving deep into Neville Goddard's profound teachings. We'll uncover how this simulation operates, why we feel stuck, and most importantly, how to exit it. If you've ever longed for a life of purpose, clarity, and freedom from the invisible chains of limitation, this is your wake-up call. Stay with us, because by the end, you'll see the world and yourself through an entirely new lens. Every so often, a thinker comes along who reshapes how we view existence. Neville Goddard was one such thinker, a man whose insights into the nature of reality challenge everything we take for granted. His teachings are not about religion or mysticism in the traditional sense. Instead, they illuminate a startling truth. Reality is not happening to us. It is happening through us. What we perceive as the external world is nothing more than a reflection of our inner world. This idea isn't just poetic or philosophical. It is deeply practical. If our reality is a projection of our imagination, then by changing the way we think and feel, we can change the very fabric of the world around us. Now, you might wonder, if that's true, why does life feel so rigid, so predetermined? The answer lies in what Neville called the state of consciousness. According to him, most of us are operating on autopilot, recycling the same thoughts, emotions, and beliefs every single day. These habitual states create a loop, a simulation of sorts, where life appears repetitive and beyond our control. This is the trap, the simulation you're stuck in. But here's the good news. This simulation is not a prison with no escape. It's a self-imposed illusion, and the key to breaking free has always been in your hands. It begins with understanding who you truly are. Neville's teachings hinge on one powerful premise. You are the operant power. You are not merely a passive observer of the world, but the creator of it. The simulation exists because you give it life, and it persists because you believe it to be real. At its core, Neville's philosophy revolves around one fundamental principle: imagination. He described imagination not as a fanciful activity, but as the creative force of the universe. He famously said, "Man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us and we in him." The eternal body of man is the imagination, and that is God himself. In simpler terms, your imagination is divine. It is the source of your reality. But instead of using it consciously, most of us allow it to run wild, creating experiences that reinforce our deepest fears, insecurities, and doubts. Understanding this concept is not just an intellectual exercise. It's a transformational shift. If you grasp the truth that your imagination creates your reality, then every limitation you face, whether it's financial struggles, relationship challenges, or a sense of unfulfillment becomes an opportunity. Why? Because you have the power to rewrite the script. Neville often likened life to a dream and urged his students to awaken within the dream. You are not stuck, he would say. You are only unaware of your power to change. And this brings us to the purpose of this video. To help you awaken, to show you how to harness your imagination, and to guide you out of the simulation you've unknowingly created. In the next minutes, we'll explore the mechanics of this simulation, how it works and why it feels so real. The mental traps that keep you stuck in repetitive patterns. The revolutionary method Neville taught for escaping these limitations. And finally, the profound transformation that awaits when you step into your true power. This isn't just theory. It's a practical guide to reclaiming your life. So, if you've ever felt like there's more to existence than meets the eye, you're absolutely right. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the simulation, you'll know how to transcend it. As we move forward, keep this in mind. Your imagination is the gateway to freedom. The simulation only has power if you believe in its limitations. The moment you begin to shift your consciousness, the illusion starts to unravel. So, are you ready to wake up? Let's begin. Most of us live our lives as though we're stuck in a loop. Day after day, we follow routines, face the same struggles, and experience the same emotions, wondering why nothing seems to change. We might even question whether we're destined to live this way. But according to Neville Goddard, this repetitive cycle isn't fate. It's a result of being trapped in a self-created simulation. Neville explained that this stuckness comes from a lack of awareness about the role our consciousness plays in shaping reality. Think about it. How often do you find yourself replaying the same thoughts in your mind? Worrying about the same problems? Feeling the same emotions of frustration, fear, or doubt? These mental patterns create what Neville referred to as states of consciousness. A state of consciousness is the lens through which you view the world, and it determines what you experience. If you're constantly in a state of lack, focusing on what you don't have, your reality will reflect more lack. If you're stuck in a state of fear, your external world will mirror situations that reinforce that fear. The challenge is that these states are often unconscious. They operate in the background, like a program running without your active input. And just like a program, they produce the same predictable results over and over again. This is the essence of the simulation. A feedback loop that feels inescapable because we don't realize we're the ones running it. One of the greatest deceptions of the simulation is the belief that life happens to us. We attribute our circumstances to external factors, luck, other people's actions, the economy, or even fate. Neville was clear. This is an illusion. He taught that nothing exists independently of your awareness. Your external reality is a projection of your inner world. When you're unaware of this, it's easy to feel powerless. You might think, I didn't choose this job, or I didn't ask for these struggles, but the truth is, your subconscious beliefs and assumptions brought these experiences into your life. This doesn't mean you're to blame, it means you have the power to change. The simulation only feels rigid because you're unaware of your role as its creator. The moment you shift your consciousness, the simulation begins to shift with you. Another layer of the challenge is the comfort zone. The simulation is familiar, even when it's uncomfortable. We become so accustomed to our habitual states of consciousness that breaking free feels daunting. For instance, you might want more abundance in your life, but if you've spent years identifying with scarcity, imagining a life of plenty feels foreign, maybe even impossible. Neville pointed out that this is where most people give up. They mistake the unfamiliar for the unattainable. But here's the thing, the discomfort of breaking free is temporary. The rewards, however, are transformative. You might wonder, if I'm the creator of my reality, why does it feel so hard to change it? Neville explained that the challenge lies in our deep attachment to what we perceive as real. We've been conditioned to believe that the external world is fixed, separate from us, and beyond our influence. This conditioning runs so deep that even when we try to change, we often revert to our old patterns. For example, you might visualize success or happiness for a few days, but if you don't fully believe in that new state, your subconscious will pull you back into the familiar simulation. Neville called this the law of assumption. He said, "You are free to choose the state you will occupy, but the state you most frequently return to constitutes your dwelling place." In other words, unless you make a deliberate and consistent effort to shift your state of consciousness, you'll remain stuck in the same patterns. Emotions play a crucial role in the simulation. They act as the fuel for your states of consciousness. Negative emotions like fear, doubt, and anger anchor you to limiting states, while positive emotions like love, gratitude, and joy open the door to higher possibilities. Neville emphasized that the key to breaking free lies in mastering your emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing them. It means becoming aware of them and consciously choosing emotions that align with the reality you want to create. Remember, the simulation responds to the energy you emit. When you radiate a state of abundance, love, or peace, the external world mirrors it back to you. Here's the empowering truth. While the simulation can feel like a trap, it is also your greatest teacher. Every challenge, every limitation, is an opportunity to awaken to your true power. Neville's teachings are not about escaping life but transforming it from within. The simulation exists to show you what you're holding on to, where you're stuck, and what you need to release. And that brings us to the next step. Understanding why Neville's method works and how you can use it to break free from the simulation once and for all. Neville Goddard's approach to breaking free from the simulation is rooted in one profound idea. Imagination creates reality. To most, this might sound like a poetic metaphor, but Neville meant it literally. He believed that your imagination is not just a mental activity but the very force shaping your external world. When you imagine something vividly and feel it as though it's already true, you are impressing that idea onto your subconscious mind. The subconscious, in turn, projects this impression outward, organizing circumstances, people, and events to reflect your internal state. This is the fundamental principle behind Neville's teachings and the mechanism by which you can exit the simulation. At the heart of Neville's method lies the law of assumption. He stated, "Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continue therein." This means that to change your reality, you must first change your state of being. You do this by assuming emotionally and mentally that you already have what you desire. For instance, if you feel stuck in a pattern of scarcity, you don't wait for external circumstances to change before you feel abundant. Instead, you embody the feeling of abundance now, as though it's already your reality. By doing so, you shift your state of consciousness, and the simulation begins to rearrange itself to match your new state. This principle works because of the interconnected nature of consciousness and reality. Quantum physics has shown us that, at the subatomic level, particles exist in a state of potential until observed. It's the act of observation that collapses potential into reality. Neville's teachings align with this idea. Your consciousness acts as the observer, and your dominant assumptions and beliefs determine what potential collapses into your lived experience. In essence, the simulation is like a quantum field of infinite possibilities, and your state of consciousness selects which possibility becomes real. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are not just thinking positive. You are tuning your consciousness to a specific frequency, much like a radio dial. As you hold that frequency consistently, your external reality begins to reflect it. Neville emphasized the importance of feeling above all else. He said, "Feeling is the secret." Why? Because it's not enough to visualize your desired reality. You must feel it as though it's already true. Feelings are the language of the subconscious mind. While your conscious mind deals in words and logic, your subconscious responds to emotion and imagery. By combining a clear mental picture with the corresponding feeling, you impress your subconscious with the idea that this is your reality now. This is why Neville instructed his followers to practice living in the end. When you imagine your desire as already fulfilled and feel the joy, gratitude, or relief that comes with it, you are effectively stepping out of the old simulation and into a new one. Imagination, according to Neville, is the divine faculty within us. He referred to it as the Christ within, the creative power that allows us to shape our reality. This is not imagination in the childish sense of make-believe. It is the deliberate act of envisioning a new state of being with full conviction. Neville often shared examples from his own life and those of his students to illustrate this. In one instance, a man who was unemployed and struggling imagined himself receiving a congratulatory handshake from a friend, symbolizing his new job. He felt the firmness of the handshake, the warmth of his friend's voice, and the pride of accomplishment. Within weeks, he was offered a position that exceeded his expectations. This is the power of imagination. It bridges the gap between your current state and your desired reality. By vividly imagining the outcome and infusing it with feeling, you are rehearsing the future into existence. Here's where it gets even more profound. The simulation is not separate from you. According to Neville, everything in your reality is a reflection of your inner world. This means that the people, events, and circumstances you encounter are not random. They are projections of your consciousness. When you change your internal state, the external simulation must change to align with it. This is why Neville often said, "There is no one to change but self." The simulation doesn't resist your changes. It adapts to them, because it's a mirror of your inner reality. One challenge many people face when applying Neville's teachings is resistance. When you begin to imagine a new reality, your old assumptions may fight back. For example, if you've spent years believing that success is difficult, it might feel unnatural to assume the feeling of effortless achievement. Neville advised persistence. He explained that repetition is key to impressing the subconscious mind. The more consistently you assume your new state, the more natural it becomes. Over time, the resistance fades, and the new state becomes your dwelling place. What's remarkable about Neville's teachings is how they bridge the gap between spirituality and science. While his language is rooted in esoteric wisdom, the underlying principles resonate with modern understandings of consciousness and quantum mechanics. This alignment makes his teachings not only profound but also practical. They remind us that we are not powerless players in the simulation, we are its architects. Now that we've explored why Neville's method works, let's move into the actionable steps you can take to apply it in your own life. The key lies in simplicity. Small, consistent practices that align your inner state with your desired reality. Step 1. Decide what you truly want. The first step in applying Neville Goddard's method is to get clear about your desire. What do you truly want to experience? This might sound simple, but many people struggle with clarity. They are caught in vague wishes like, "I want to be happy," or "I want more money." Neville emphasized the importance of specificity. Your desire must be precise and meaningful to you. Instead of "I want more money," decide on an amount or a situation that represents financial freedom for you. Perhaps you imagine yourself receiving a specific paycheck or living in a particular home. The more specific and vivid your desire, the more powerful your practice will be. Step 2. Create a scene that implies fulfillment. Once you have clarity, the next step is to create a mental scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. Neville called this living in the end. The scene should be short, simple, and something you can replay easily in your mind. For example, if your desire is to find your ideal partner, Your scene might involve imagining a loving embrace, a wedding ring on your finger, or hearing words of affection. If your goal is career success, you might imagine shaking hands with a mentor who congratulates you or seeing your name on an award. Step 3. Enter a state of relaxation. Before you visualize, it's essential to enter a relaxed, drowsy state. Neville referred to this as the state akin to sleep, a condition where your conscious mind is quiet and your subconscious is more receptive. To achieve this state, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit or lie down comfortably and close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths, releasing tension with each exhale. Allow your mind to slow down and feel yourself drifting into a calm, meditative state. Step 4. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Now comes the most critical part. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. As you play your mental scene, focus on the emotions you would feel if it were happening right now. Would you feel joy, relief, gratitude, or excitement? Let these emotions fill your entire being. It's not enough to see the scene, you must feel it. Neville taught that feeling is the secret to impressing your subconscious mind. The stronger and more authentic your emotions, the more powerful the impression. Step 5. Repeat nightly. Consistency is key. Neville advised practicing this visualization nightly, just before falling asleep. This is when your mind is naturally in the state akin to sleep, making it the ideal time to impress your subconscious. Replay your scene with conviction and immerse yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Trust that the seed you plant in your imagination will grow and manifest in the physical world. Step 6. Release and trust. Finally, let go of any attachment to how or when your desire will manifest. Trust that the process is working, even if you see no immediate evidence. Neville reminded us that the feeling of the wish fulfilled, if persisted in, must be realized. Your role is not to figure out the how. Your role is to maintain faith and stay aligned with the feeling of fulfillment. The simulation, or external reality, will adjust itself to match your inner state. Transition to benefits and real-life transformation. By practicing these steps, you are effectively reprogramming your consciousness and stepping into a new reality. But what does this transformation look like in daily life? Let's explore the tangible benefits and real-life stories that illustrate the power of this method. When you practice Neville Goddard's method consistently, you begin to experience profound shifts. One of the first things you'll notice is the dissolution of limiting beliefs. The doubts, fears, and what-ifs that once held you back will no longer have a grip on you. Why? Because your mind is now focused on the reality you're creating rather than the obstacles in your way. For instance, many people have reported overcoming financial struggles through this practice. By visualizing themselves living in abundance and embodying the feeling of security, they found new opportunities, unexpected sources of income, or a shift in their financial habits that led to lasting prosperity. Another significant benefit is emotional transformation. The process of living in the end cultivates gratitude, joy, and peace, emotions that elevate your vibration and align you with your desired reality. Instead of feeling trapped by worry or dissatisfaction, you wake up each day with a renewed sense of purpose and optimism. Imagine the freedom of knowing that your reality is not dictated by external circumstances but by your inner state. This realization alone can bring immense relief and a sense of empowerment. Neville often shared stories of people who used his teachings to achieve extraordinary results. One of the most well-known examples is a man who desired a new home but didn't have the financial means to purchase one. He followed Neville's method, imagining himself living in the house he wanted. He visualized every detail, from the layout of the rooms to the view from the windows. Within a few months, he was offered an unexpected opportunity that provided the exact resources needed to acquire the home. This wasn't magic. It was the power of aligning his consciousness with the reality he desired. Such stories abound, with people manifesting dream jobs, loving relationships, health recoveries, and even creative breakthroughs. The common thread is their unwavering faith in the process and their ability to feel the reality of their wish fulfilled before it appeared in the physical world. As you engage with this practice, your intuition sharpens. You'll start noticing synchronicities and subtle signs that guide you toward your goals. This heightened awareness makes life feel like a co-creative dance with the universe, where you're not just a passive observer but an active participant in shaping your destiny. Perhaps the most profound benefit is a sense of purpose. Instead of feeling like a cog in a machine or a character in someone else's simulation, you take ownership of your role as the creator of your reality. This realization empowers you to pursue your highest aspirations and live a life of meaning and fulfillment. While the benefits are undeniable, it's natural to have questions or even doubts about this process. Can it really be this straightforward? And what happens if your efforts don't seem to work immediately? Let's address some of these concerns to solidify your understanding. One of the most common doubts people have when encountering Neville Goddard's teachings is their simplicity. The idea of transforming your reality by imagining a scene and feeling its fulfillment might seem too good to be true. After all, we're often conditioned to believe that success requires struggle and that major changes demand monumental effort. But consider this: simplicity is often a hallmark of truth. The greatest breakthroughs, whether in science, spirituality, or personal growth, are rooted in concepts that are deceptively simple yet profoundly effective. Neville himself emphasized that the key lies not in the complexity of the technique, but in the consistency and depth of your practice. It's not about doing more. It's about aligning your consciousness with precision. Another concern is impatience. You might ask, what if I practice this and nothing happens? This is where Neville's teaching of persistence becomes crucial. He reminded us that the subconscious mind operates on its own timeline. Just as a seed planted in the ground doesn't sprout overnight, the seeds of your imagination need time to take root and grow. If you don't see immediate results, it doesn't mean the process isn't working. It means the manifestation is unfolding in the unseen realms. Your role is to trust the process and maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled, regardless of external evidence. Some people find it challenging to fully embody the feeling of their wish fulfilled. If this resonates with you, start small. Instead of focusing on grand desires that might feel out of reach, practice with smaller, more attainable goals. For example, imagine receiving a kind message from a friend or finding a parking spot in a crowded area. As you experience success with these smaller manifestations, your confidence will grow, making it easier to apply the technique to larger desires. Remember, feeling takes practice, and even small steps lead to big transformations over time. It's natural to encounter skepticism from others, especially when discussing concepts that challenge conventional thinking. But Neville encouraged his followers to rely on their inner conviction rather than external validation. Your experience will always be the ultimate proof of this method's power. Let results speak louder than opinions. Now that we've addressed these common concerns, you might be wondering how to take the next step. Let's explore how you can implement these teachings today and begin your journey to a transformed reality. You now hold the key to unlocking a reality that's aligned with your deepest desires. The path forward is simple but profound. Start applying Neville Goddard's teachings today. Take just 10 minutes tonight before you sleep to imagine the life you truly want. Feel the joy, peace, or excitement of already living it. Commit to this practice every night, no matter how small or large your desire may seem. Remember, transformation begins within. The moment you embody the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you set into motion unseen forces that align the external world with your inner vision. Trust the process, and allow time for the manifestation to unfold. We'd love to hear about your experiences. What's the first desire you'll bring to life using this practice? Share your journey in the comments below, and let's inspire one another with stories of growth and transformation. If you found this video insightful, consider subscribing to the channel. Together, we'll continue to explore profound teachings and timeless wisdom to empower your life. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who could benefit from this knowledge. Let's spread the light